I'm back. It's been a couple of years, maybe 1 or 2 years since I've been on this channel. Uh, Camera's a little, I think that's a little better. I can't really tell. So, where have I been? I have been basically off the YouTube map. I've been doing a little Fortnite here or there. I made a Titans hype video last year. But when it comes to things like power rankings, weekly picks, weekly recaps, it was a lot of work for me to do. Um, I was busy at the time with my job. I got married. We got a house. So it's been a very, very busy couple of years for me. And I just decided to not go ahead and do picks, which, I mean, maybe I should have stopped doing picks because, of course, right when I stopped is when my Tennessee Titans started to be a really good football team. Back to back playoff appearances, uh, broke the longest streak in the NFL for non double digit win seasons. Yes, that is a Keith stat I'm throwing out there. Before this year, the Tennessee Titans had the longest streak out of any NFL team without winning more than 10 or more games in a season, and we broke that this year, going 11-5. So, a couple of things I'm going to touch on in this video. I'm going to touch on the Titans season, what I think we should do in the off season, and of course my Super Bowl pick. I know I'm about 19 weeks too late. I'm going to try to resuscitate this channel a little bit, which means, yes, that does include power ranking videos with my neat little snippets in there. But of course, it's the end of the year. So, if anything, you might get a power ranking video post Super Bowl. But after that, you're probably not going to see me for a while. Maybe I'll recap free agency for the Titans, draft for the Titans. Those who have stuck with this channel know I'm a big Tennessee Titans fan. Some of the YouTube channels, go check these out. Go check out Sports Fan Entertainment and Titans Tube. Those are two of my favorite channels to watch. As a matter of fact, MJ on Sports Fan Entertainment, he's my I need to watch MJ after Titans games because he is so grounded when and he's so passionate when he talks about Tennessee. So if we have a heartbreaking loss like when we lost to the Steelers back in week 6 or 7, we lost to Pittsburgh, ended our undefeated streak, I needed to listen to MJ cuz I needed him to bring me back down to earth. And it helps. Even with games that we lose that we shouldn't lose, like the Bengals game, again, brought me right back down to earth. So, recapping the year, Tennessee started 5-0. They went 6-5 to end the year. They went 11-5, and they ended up winning the AFC South. First division title since 2008 when they went 13-3, led by Kerry Collins. Now, disappointing or good season? Well, coming into the year, we had Super Bowl aspirations. After making it to the AFC Championship game and falling short to Kansas City, I knew that we had the potential to go to the Super Bowl. Week 1, we should have won against Denver, probably more than we should have. We missed a lot of field goals in that game. Stephen Gostkowski did not do anything to remedy the kicker situation that Tennessee had last year. As a matter of fact, there was a moment after that Broncos game. I'm sitting on my rocking chair. There's a moment after that Broncos game where I think Tennessee Titans kickers were, I want to say it's 9 of 24 on field goal attempts. Something outlandish like that. Yes, that is correct. We're talking 9 of the last 24 field goal attempts were made. 15 were missed. That is absurd. So they should have beaten Denver by more than they did. Then they did. Then they played Jacksonville. The Jaguars went into the game at 1-0. Little nervous for that one. But they ended up getting the win. The defense didn't play as well as I would have hoped, but then again, Jacksonville did just beat the Colts at the time. You have to remember, this wasn't the 1-15 Jaguars, the trash that we saw at the end of the year. There was a time when people were talking about the Jaguars with optimism in week 2. especially after they lost to the Titans, because Jacksonville was 1-1 with a victory against the Colts and an almost victory against the Titans. People were starting to talk about that team and like, hey, maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars can do something this year. You have to remember that. Tennessee week 3 came against the Vikings, a game Tennessee should not have won. They had no business winning whatsoever. They were down in that game 24-12. Justin Jefferson ate us up. Dalvin Cook ate us for dinner. It was after we won that game on another game-winning field goal by Gostkowski. It became very, very clear to me that the defense was going to be a liability, but I still had Super Bowl hopes. Then COVID hit, and then we smacked the Bills. Game I did not see coming. I had thought the Bills would wallop Tennessee. They didn't. Gave me hope again. Okay, cool. We crushed the Bills. Bills were also undefeated. And then came the Texans. Another game they had no business winning. Houston was up 7, going for 2 to ice the game with about, what was it, a minute 40 left in the game? They were going for 2. And if it weren't for a swatted pass by Jeffrey Simmons at the goal line, Houston would have gotten a 2-point conversion and won the game. So we were lucky to get away with that. Very, very lucky to get away with that win. 5-0. Now, here's the thing. Winning masks a lot of issues that you know the team has, but you don't want to face. Even when we lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I thought to myself, this is a good team. The Steelers are a great team. We lost to them on a missed field goal to tie it. I can't really be mad at that. It was a little heartbreaking. It would have been nice to keep the streak going, but I knew defense. It all goes back to the defense. Excuse me. And then they lost to the Bengals. That's when I knew, okay, something's got to change. We got rid of Jonathan Joseph, big move. And then we went and we got Desmond King from the Chargers. Great move. And then also one of the things that I realized in that Bengals game was our pass rush was awful. Jadeveon Clowney ain't doing shit. And Vic Beasley ain't doing shit. We got rid of Vic Beasley, and eventually Jadeveon Clowney went out for the season, just like that. We come back, we beat the Bears 24-17. I expected to beat them. Chicago didn't have the offense. They didn't have the horses to be able to go up against Tennessee. And then they played the Colts on Thursday Night Football. A game that, I will say, Tennessee had control of this game. They made some key plays on defense. The goal line stand. Tennessee, people forget, Tennessee had the ball against the Colts with a 4-point lead, had the ball with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And they were moving it. It was like 3rd and 1 at the 20, up 4 with 5 minutes left in the third. Tennessee had this game. They had control of this game. And then when mistakes happen, they happen in flurries. And that's what happened with special teams. They had a shanked punt. And then they gave up a touchdown. Still okay. Then they had a punt blocked. Return for a touchdown. Everything happened negatively. And against a defense like the Colts, that's what they make you do. They make you pay for it. So I was willing to kind of not forget about that game. I remembered it, but I thought to myself, okay, that was a fluky game. Mistakes were made in that game that aren't normally made. You don't shank punts and you don't have punt blocks. And if those are the plays that swing a game, plays that normally don't occur, then I'm willing to brush it off. I knew that even though we lost to Indy by 17 points, I knew that we were just as good, if not better, than the Colts. So we're 6-3. And I'm looking at the next 2 games. I see Ravens Colts at this moment, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna get ugly. I look at the rest of the conference and I see 7 other 6-3 teams, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely nuts. They go into Baltimore and win. They go into Indianapolis and win. And at this point, I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, okay, cool. We have Super Bowl aspirations. The defense is coming around. Super Bowl aspirations. Here we go. We're 8-3 now. This is fantastic. And then Cleveland comes into town. Unlike the Colts and unlike the Ravens, Cleveland has a passing attack. And Baker Mayfield threw all over us. And it again reminded me, yeah, that's right. Our defense is really bad. We lost to Cleveland. At that point, I told myself, I don't think we're a Super Bowl team. I don't think our defense has the horses to win because we're not getting a bye. I didn't think the defense had the ability, or I don't think Tennessee had the ability to win 4 straight games to win the Super Bowl. At that point, I told myself, I don't think this is a team that can accomplish that. They caught fire in a bottle, or lightning in a bottle last year, and it took them as far as the AFC Championship game. And honestly, even though Tennessee went 9-7 the previous year, I think that 9-7 Titans team was a better team than the Titans team this year. And I'll go back to that after the season. So then we get easy wins against the Jaguars, against the Lions, no problem with them. We're excited. We get the Packers. It's snowing. It's a Sunday night football game. I'm excited. Derrick Henry, it's great. Things are great. And then we get blown out. And I wasn't mad after that Packers game. I'd reached a level of acceptance. That acceptance being this. Quote, I think we'll win the South. So that's great. But they'll be lucky to win a playoff game. They might be out in round 1. But an AFC South title would at least be nice. That's what I thought. Tennessee at that moment, when we lost to Green Bay, I knew this was not a team that was destined for a late postseason run. They just weren't. And that became especially clear when Houston in Week 17 gave Tennessee all they can handle and then some because the defense was so bad. It was so horrifically, awfully, disgustingly bad, but yet they won the game. Very, very good game, by the way. And we got the division title. I even have the division champion hat to show for it. It's fantastic. I was excited. I look at our first round opponent. Who is it? Baltimore. Great. Just what I needed. If we played Miami, we would have beaten Miami. I really think Tennessee would have beaten Miami round 1 if they played Miami. If that was only if the Dolphins beat the Bills, but the Dolphins got smoked. And I knew after what we did to Baltimore earlier this year that, and especially in the playoffs last year, I didn't think we were losing. I got to my parents to watch the game. I look at my dad as I walk in. I say, I don't feel good today. I sent something on Facebook. I said, I don't feel good today. I think we're going to lose, and I'm accepting the fact that we're probably going to lose. We had a 10-0 lead. I was a little excited, and then the wheels came off. Unfortunately, it was the offense that did it in for us. But Calais Campbell and I think Brandon Williams is his name. They didn't play in the Ravens-Titans game back in Week 11. They played in this game, so that's why they were able to contain Derrick Henry. And the problems on offensive line really, really reared their ugly head for Tennessee in this game. So that brings us to free agency. Free agency was such a bust last season. It's not even funny. Tennessee probably had the worst free agency in the entire league. Out of all 32 NFL teams, Tennessee had the worst free agency. We're talking about a first-round pick that didn't even play, that had nothing but off-season issues, a second-round pick that barely played because they were hurt all year long, a third-round pick that also barely played because they were hurt all year long. You're talking about Jadeveon Clowney signing, who was an absolute bust. The Vic Beasley signing, which he was off the team by Week 8. It was the worst offseason out of all 32 teams in the league. I don't care that Tennessee re-signed Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. Those were the highlights of the offseason. People are going to look at that and say, oh, yeah, that was a good offseason. You guys were able to keep both of them? Oh, no. You got to make changes to the other part of your team. Tennessee did nothing outside of that. That they just didn't. The draft was one of the worst drafts I've ever seen in my life. Isaiah Wilson is a joke. I think we'll release him. No team's gonna want this kid. He's one of those kids where, unfortunately, because of COVID, and I've seen the videos, he's waving money around at a strip club. He doesn't care about the game. He just cares that he's got a pocket full of cash because he's a first-round pick. That's all he cared about, and it's really sad to see. All he cares about is the fact that he has money in his pocket. Taylor Lewan got hurt, and we opted to go through 2 left tackles before sliding Dennis Kelly over and starting Isaiah Wilson at right tackle. We were on Ty Sambrailo, which I will say, he did play pretty well. But we were on Ty Sambrailo to end the year, and we would rather play him than our first-round draft pick from 2020. I think that says everything you need to see. So, terrible offseason. Coming up, Tennessee needs to either sign Corey Davis or Jonnu Smith, one of the two. I think we'll let go of the other, but I think the most important thing is we need receiver depth. Corey Davis, A.J. Brown were the only 2 receivers that did anything for Tennessee this year. Khalif Raymond, Cameron Batson, Adam Humphries, none of them did anything worth a damn. They just didn't. Maybe one had a nice game here, one had a nice game there, but there's no depth at receiver. And that means people are going to start double covering A.J. Brown now that everyone realizes how good this kid is, which I will say, he is the best receiver Tennessee's ever had. I know that's saying a lot. Tennessee hasn't really had many good receivers. They're known for their running backs, but not receivers. I think Tannehill's fine. Henry's fine. The offensive line is fine. We're getting Taylor Lewan back. The offense is fine. I just think we need receiver depth, and then I think we need. I'll say I'm okay re-signing Jadeveon Clowney. We signed him for a 1-year deal last year, but when we re-signed Jadeveon Clowney, yes, I'm going to call him a clown if he asks for how much money this year that he asked for last year. He has no business asking for the same amount of money this year as he did last year. Zero business. He thinks he's worth way more than he actually is worth. I'll tell you what he's worth. He's worth a 1-year, $5 to $6 million deal. If he wants any more than that, let him walk. The offseason defense, we need a pass rush. The secondary, I think the secondary's fine. You look at the secondary, you look at the names in that secondary, you're talking Kevin Byard, Malcolm Butler, Desmond King, Adoree Jackson, Kenny Vaccaro, even the rookie, which I think he's a rookie or second-year player, Amani Hooker had a good year. He had like 3 or 4 interceptions. The secondary's fine. The problem is when you don't have a pass rush, you give a quarterback all day long to throw the ball. And eventually a secondary is going to let someone get open. That's how team football is played. The defensive line putting pressure on the quarterback forces the quarterback to throw the ball earlier than they want to, while the defense, the secondary, is still covering. You can't ask a secondary to cover properly for more than 6 seconds or 5 seconds. You just can't do it. You'll find someone open every single time. That's why you see some of these defenses that are really good because they have a pass rush. You see what the Rams did this year? Yeah, they got Jalen Ramsey, but look at that pass rush. Look at the Buccaneers' pass rush. They were getting to Aaron Rodgers with 4 guys all game long. All game long. So that's what I think Tennessee needs to work on this offseason. Now, we'll go to my Super Bowl pick. I think Kansas City repeats. I think they repeat and they win this game 31-27. It's going to be close. Brady in the Super Bowl is a completely different animal than Brady in the regular season or even the playoffs. But Kansas City is they're just too good. You see what they did to Buffalo? The Buccaneers, they're a very good football team. And but the problem is, if they get pressure on Mahomes is good enough where he can escape pressure and find someone wide open downfield. That's where he's dangerous. Tom Brady can't do that. Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions last week. It'd be fair to say Tom Brady isn't the reason the Buccaneers won that game against Green Bay. Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions. Now, I will sit here and tell you that now I believe Brady is the greatest of all time just because he helped take Tampa to a Super Bowl in 1 year. But you can't sit here and tell me that Brady's the reason they beat the Packers. He is a reason that he did his job, I would say, but Brady threw 3 interceptions against Green Bay. I think the Buccaneers defense is the reason they won that game. Holding Aaron Rodgers to 26 points, keeping him out of the end zone, intercepting him, and getting pressure on him all day long. So I think the Chiefs get the win here. Um, that's all I have to say. I know this is kind of a long video. I'm glad to be back. I'll do a power rankings video here at some point. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Leave your comments and questions down below, and I will see you guys next video.